Alpine Liquid Fertilizers is your full-season crop fertility specialist from start to finish. Visit alpinepfl.com for more.
Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio, Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. We're at the Western Canadian Crop Production Show in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And right now we're in the SeedMaster booth and very pleased to be with the new Chief Executive Officer, 40 days relatively into the role. It is Allan Wiens. Hey, Allan, it's great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Shaun. Thanks for coming by our booth, and thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. No stranger to the equipment space in Western Canada. Give us some of your background.
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm in southern Manitoba, just south of Winnipeg, and went to school at the University of Manitoba, and started with John Deere Corporate sometime after school. Spent about 12 years with them. Moved around Western Canada. I was in the U.S. for a number of years as well. Worked in kind of territory sales, territory customer support, product support, product development, all the different areas that John Deere is involved with. And then moved to Brandt about 7 years ago. Spent 7 years with Brandt. My last position with them was I was the Vice President of Product Strategy and Sales Support, so product development, both on the ag side of the business at Brandt and also the construction side. And then, 40 days ago, December 1st, took the role of CEO at SeedMaster. Very excited to kind of, be responsible for this opportunity. It feels like big shoes to fill from the previous CEO, but looking forward to seeing how I can make some impact in the role.
Well, there are big shoes to fill. We always like chatting with Don Henry. He is since retired, and I wish Don all the best. So, from your perspective, SeedMaster has incredibly strong roots in the province of Saskatchewan. There's other companies in the category doing, trying to find better ways to put seed in the ground for farmers in Western Canada and the Northern Plains. Why SeedMaster? Why did you choose this role besides, hey, it's open and I like the challenge? There's got to be more to that.
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple of reasons. Certainly having watched SeedMaster from the early days. I mean, obviously being part of John Deere, I'd see SeedMaster at shows and be very familiar with the product line right from the very start. I think probably one of the biggest reasons was talking to the founder and spending time with the Bourgeau family, seeing the passion that they had for seeding in general and for this this organization. I like the idea of a family-run organization. There is a board of directors. I was fortunate to know some of the individuals on that board, so that felt somewhat familiar. And it's an opportunity where local to the place where I live, and I love the idea of staying at home in Saskatchewan and getting an opportunity like this. I think that's really important to myself and my family as well.
What are some of the challenges that as CEO you're going to have to tackle here at SeedMaster?
We've got a couple major ones. I mean, we're in the middle of a pretty substantial expansion, so a 6,000 square foot expansion, about a $10 million growth for the organization. So bringing that online later this summer, lots of work involved with that. Along with that is a kind of a new ERP system that we're implementing along with that to kind of improve our manufacturing capabilities and some of the data analysis behind that. Those are two major ones. Certainly, we're kind of entering into this in a bit of a downturn market. The market is slowing, and so kind of managing all aspects of the business where sales may not be as robust as they've been. That's something we think a lot about. And then just policy in general. Lots of questions about policy that's coming down the pipeline. whether that be, U.S.-Canadian relations, foreign exchange, any of those items that kind of impact us dramatically.
Yeah. What percent of the business is Western Canada versus like Montana, North Dakota versus Eastern Europe?
I'd say the majority of the business is Western Canada, so it's still our focal point. Our products do historically, our products have always worked best in this area. With the new products that we've released and will release, I think you're going to see that expand a lot more into the U.S. Obviously, we have a relationship as a supplier for John Deere on the toolbar side of things, so there is U.S. or product entering into the U.S. Eastern Europe, again, we'll see that grow as we continue to expand our portfolio of products, but the majority right now is focused in the Western Canadian provinces.
Yeah. Similar to farmers, when there's challenges, you got to manage that balance sheet, and you have dealers, and then you've also got the farm customer, and trying to manage the product flow there and making sure that yourself or the dealers further downstream don't have inventory that creates cash issues. In some ways, it's much easier to manage probably in the up times than in more of the slower cycles, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. There's no question when every one of your orders are have a retail name associated to it, then it's very easy to manage your inventory position. I think SeedMaster's done a really good job, and I give credit to kind of our sales manager, Tim, along with Don, being very cognizant of the inventory position dealers are in. So managing that as best as possible, that's something that they've been focused on. And so our inventory position with our dealers is in a pretty good spot right now. Certainly that could change moving forward with the market downturn, but right now I feel pretty comfortable with where we are with inventory.
How concerned are you? But you mentioned some of the trade issues. There is a lot of focus right now on the potential for upwards of. We don't really don't know what's going to happen, but people are talking about it a lot. Definitely on our program. But what would a 25% tariff on an air cart coming out of Saskatchewan and trying to get into North Dakota? What kind of impact would that have on the business?
It'd be dramatic. It's hard to even think that that's even a possibility. More so than that, I think exchange is kind of what's on our mind right now, and just managing, trying to understand where that exchange is going to go over the next 6 months, a year. We're obviously in the middle of pricing model year 26 product right now, and so if we knew where that exchange was going to be 6 months, 12 months from now, we can kind of manage that, but if you look at what the banks are forecasting, there's no, you could look at all 6 of the majors and you'd get a different answer from every single one of them, and that's what we've experienced. So trying to manage where exchange is going is a big deal to us, because there's a certain amount of our supply chain that comes in from the U.S. and we need to be cognizant of that as well.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I think there's some of the audience that's probably like, well, wait a minute. The exchange works in your favor if you're selling one of these carts into the U.S., but it's the components. It's the pieces that go into an assembled cart that maybe you can't get in Canada, and you have to access the world suppliers in Iowa. That exchange rate really hurts. And it's similar to our audience. Hey, you're going to go to Florida, or you're going to go to Phoenix for maybe a bit of a holiday. They got a lot more expensive. No different than the components that are going into one of these air carts if they are being sourced from outside the country. In terms of the tech, if you look back in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of tech has been added, trying to simplify the user experience for the farmer. Where do you see us going with some of the technology as you apply your visionary hat to the CEO role?
I mean, labor always is the biggest driver, right? If you hear anyone talk about tech in the ag world, it's all about managing a short supply of labor, and so we're trying to be cognizant of that as well as we think about what tech we add, right? You might not have, both in terms of having skilled labor or having labor at all. So understanding kind of how autonomy plays a role into this, and we have the interesting part about the SeedMaster business is there was a pretty big autonomy play in SeedMaster history in terms of DOT, and so there's a lot of that historic knowledge still exists in the building, and so I feel like we have a very good perspective on that as we move into this autonomous space. Obviously we're a toolbar, we're being pulled, but kind of thinking about how that impacts us as in the entire operation is pretty important.
Yeah, I won't forget a conversation. We were at Agritechnica, the last one, maybe 2023, and I remember we were in the Kloss booth, and they talked about how, when you have somebody in the tractor, the brains are in the tractor, and the implement responds to what the tractor, the operator is telling you. In an autonomous environment, the brains are actually on the implement, telling the tractor what to do. It's a reversal. And that has always kind of stuck with me in terms of how sort of a switch in the play in terms of how the communication flows as that implement and that tractor work together, really, to go down the field and do a really good job, just as if somebody was operating. I say it like it's an easy thing to accomplish, but it definitely is a challenge.
Yeah, no doubt. The technology play is a huge focus point, and we think about that a lot, but we also want to make sure that we're providing kind of the non-tech stuff that customers want as well. And so understanding customer needs is, I think, at the forefront of what we're trying to do with new product development, and sometimes it's tech, and sometimes it's just, as an example, the single knife opener that we released here in summertime. I mean, that's a huge demand item that not necessarily tech or autonomous tractor focus, but certainly is something that customers have asked for that we kind of want to maintain focus on as well.
Well, Allan, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. All the best in this role as the new Chief Executive Officer at SeedMaster. Really appreciate it, and hope we can chat again soon.
Thank you so much, Shaun.
Make sure you go to RealAgriculture.com to keep up to date on all of our coverage from the Western Canadian Crop Production Show. You can find it at RealAgriculture.com.